scheduled city council meeting. It's 5:32. We're going to get started. Jenica, will you do roll call?
Council President Kaiser?
Bob?
Here. Here.
Councilmember Huggins?
Here.
Councilmember Murray?
Here.
Councilmember O'Meara?
Okay, if you'll join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and Jenica has agreed to give us our invocation this evening.
Our Father in heaven, we are grateful for this day. We're grateful for the blessing that is ours to be able to be a part of this nation and this city. We're grateful for the freedoms that we enjoy. We pray as we come together as citizens in city council that we can have our minds open and be aware of the things that are best for the city. We pray that we can have wisdom and guidance given to us as decisions are made, and keep us all safe and healthy as we begin the summer season. We pray in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Okay, council, I need a motion to approve the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda.
Second. It's been first and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Rob, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
We can. I just wanted to double check before I went
Why don't we move
forward.
down to yours so that he can hear you and me better?
Okay.
He doesn't have to sit in his seat when he's not here.
True.
Rob, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Okay, first thing on the agenda is public comments. Do we have anyone signed in? That was,
Did we lose him? I think we lost him.
Yeah, do you want to?
yeah,
We lost Rob and he called back.
He called in again.
Do you want to?
just a point at, I
Hold on,
wasn't at
Rob.
the last council meeting, but I believe it was the one before that. We, someone
You're
asked
gonna
us
have
if
to
we
use
would
my phone
move
here.
public comments to the beginning. We decided to give it a try. So we have changed that a little bit, so definitely if you have something to say, just sign in right now and feel free. It's okay.
Well, you might not be able to read it.
It's okay.
You know, Mike Crick, 1889 Ridgeway. I guess I might even have been here when that was brought up. But if I was or wasn't, well, never mind. But I don't like it. This is the first thing out of the chute, but you never know what's gonna happen in one of these until you guys get in, you get you guys' input and, on approving this or that or the other. And I don't see how we can make an informed decision if we even wanna say so. I kinda like hearing everything before we start, making comments about it all. So that's where I'm at. I go back the way it was good.
All right. Alan? Trimble?
Alan Trimble, 952 South Alturas Lake Place. I just want to make a quick comment on the food truck situation. I know we've been hashing this out the last few months. My only concern or comment would be on the chart there's a note about one truck per parcel. And if the city can do it, and if the Chamber of Commerce needs it down at the park, then I think everybody else should have it too. That's it, thank you.
Now we have information items. So an update on the RFQ for comprehensive plan update, Roberta?
Yes, thank you, council members. Jenica, can you switch over to me, the screen? Thank you. Just to let you know that a few weeks ago, we issued an RFQ, or request for qualifications, to find a planner with experience with comprehensive plan updates to help kind of lead us through the process. So almost every city in the Treasure Valley, when they do their updates, they hire planners. Most of the time from Colorado, Portland, or Washington. It was hard to find people who are local. So as you can see up there, that's what it looks like, the RFQ. And we gave them till Friday, June 2nd to submit their responses. And then we will have somebody chosen by June 30th. And then we can jump into the process. It's estimated to be about a 1.5 year process. It's very public intensive, workshops, lots of meetings, evening work, afternoon work. So we'll just buckle up and we'll start. But we won't get our RFQs back till June 2nd when we can choose. Just a little update, so we're moving forward.
Council, anybody have any questions on this? Okay. Next information item is staff recommendations on food truck ordinance and matrix of potential provisions. That's Roberta again.
Yes, thank you, council members. Jenica again, oh, there we go, I'm already up. So just to see where we're at, where we want to be, a few months ago, you changed the ordinances and use tables to allow mobile food truck service in all 3 commercial zones, both of our industrial zones, and also our mixed use zone. And you can see that up there on the board. That's our use table. So then when you look at our zoning map and you begin to see how many parcels there are, it's really hard to see there. So I put hard copies in front of you. There's about 120 industrial and commercial zones and mixed use zones, tax parcels where these trucks can actually vend. And so at this point now we need to start regulating, because that could get out of control pretty quickly. So if you just look closely at the zoning map, everywhere I put a red slash, let me see if I can zone in here a little bit. You can see, you can put a food truck on all of these parcels. That's a lot of food trucks. So, Jenica did a good job getting us this far, kind of asking you folks what you thought and what you would want to see. And previously she had built this food truck rules per city. It's here on the second page, but I built this matrix here to cover some provisions so far, and Mayor asked me to come back with some recommendations. So the goal is this, in our city we have brick and mortar restaurants that pay property taxes and give established services and amenities to the residents here and in our city. And then there's a place also in our city for food trucks. They're kind of a grab and go. They come and go. They might be registered in another city, but actually vend their food here. And so we want to give Middleton residents the ability to have the kind of temporary grab and go, but also if they want to dine, to go to our established brick and mortar places who have invested in the city. So I'm recommending, and I think city admin is recommending, that we find those code provisions that would keep a healthy balance between the two. And that both can be here, but that one wouldn't hurt the other. And that's a two-way street. So if we start at the top of the matrix here,
There's 6 provisions that, from listening to Jenica's work with you, that you all seem to be in agreement on. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I wrote down, you all agree that we should have them provide written permission from their property owner where they put their food truck. Number 2, they need to provide the city proof of Southwest District Health approval and inspections. Number 3, we need them to provide proof of general liability, auto and workers' compensation insurance. Number 4, we would not want them to park and take up parking stalls that are required to meet the code requirements for sufficient parking, so they can't kind of bully around a lot. Number 5, all cooking and food preparation activities need to be inside the truck, self-contained, no grilling and stoves and spreading out into the lot or sidewalks or streets. And then no vending on a public street. So correct me if I'm wrong. I thought we might all be in agreement at least this far.
What about the poor guy that's got a barbecue pit that's mobile? Because I see them around Boise and Caldwell quite a bit. Just an open grill, he barbecues on it on the lot.
And that would be your choice. If you wanted to allow that, then the code can't say it's a self-contained everything interior on the vehicle. If you want to allow them to do that, cook on the outside, then that's what you would be talking about. But so that might be an issue for you. Okay. So, as Mayor requested, the second section here, staff recommends allowing temporary activity and limiting the permanent activity of the food truck. So, no overnight parking on a lot. Food trucks should be allowed on site from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. That's just staff throwing out. It could be anything. 30 City Park, they need to follow the rules there though, which is dawn to dusk. No hookup to external public utilities, and that prevents them also from using our city utilities, which are available out there actually. No street furniture, tables, maybe no lighting except for what's needed for safety purposes. I can see a need for some light. Temporary signs probably should be allowed, but they need to be removed at the end of the day. And then the city admin would like to see a vending permit to be an annual permit and have everybody expire on December 31st, and that's just helps with the paper machinations, and it's easy to control and doesn't take a lot of staff time. So those are some recommendations. Other recommendations in this third section to limit density, because they could be on up to 120 lots. You got a question, Mr. Murray?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I'm not necessarily in favor of the no street furniture. You know, if somebody wants to bring folding tables, folding chairs, as a potential customer, I'd appreciate somewhere to sit down and eat my food. So I don't know why we would want to limit that. I doubt they're gonna bring 40 tables out, and it's gonna take up the whole area.
The reason that I was thinking in my head about that is that if you're going to sit and dine, it would be good to sit and dine in our established restaurants, brick and mortar, that are here and invested in the city of Middleton. I think food trucks would lend a great service for grab and go. But if you're going to sit and dine, go to our restaurants, support them. They're supporting us.
What if it's a food truck that offers something we don't have here in town, and I'd still like to sit down?
Well, then there's room for a great brick and mortar restaurant that could do that, or take it home in the meantime. But I see what you're saying. So that's another question then to think about. I'll make a note. Any more questions before I move on? Okay, so also to limit density, because as I said, there's approximately 120 lots where if we just strictly went by zoning and technicalities, we could have 120 plus trucks out there. So staff is recommending only one food truck per tax parcel, and that stops food courts and those kind of things that begin to hone in and hurt your brick and mortar establishments too, when you have that kind of density. Except for, the city owns Piccadilly Park. So the city can do what it wants with this property, it doesn't even need to be codified. But just as a side, the city would like to allow up to 3 food trucks in Piccadilly Park at any given time, first come, first served, but we have to protect the city too and have them sign indemnity clauses and things like that in case somebody gets hurt, they're on city property. So also staff recommends miscellaneous provisions here in the 4th section. They need to provide a sanitary sewer plan to show how are you protecting our citizens, keeping things clean. How's that gonna work for you? Second, maybe no food trucks on vacant lots. This could be a fire hazard with mufflers, tall grass, soil erosion, mud tracked onto the city streets, which is an EPA problem actually. We start getting involved with federal government, state government. Currently, our fee is $35, and we really think it needs to be increased to, at a minimum, $75 and possibly as high as $125 per truck. This covers clerk time dealing with the paperwork and review. There's also zoning review. There's enforcement, police, fire get involved, and these are all, that's city time and money. Finally, here in the last section, just some considerations. So there was a discussion about background checks and fingerprinting. We did talk with police chief about this, and he actually advised against it, and staff would tend to agree. First of all, it's hard to set the standard. So something comes up on a report. When do you decide that it's sufficient where you go, no, you can't be here because you had an altercation with the neighbor? And how do we know what that was about? And we don't require our restaurants to give us those kind of background checks for their employees. And also a food truck workforce is very, very, very transient. So how do you do that? It's just almost impossible to manage. So we don't think that would be a good thing to put in the code, but that's something to talk about. As Mr. Murray said too, a preferred food truck list is probably not a good idea. We just want to treat everybody the same. You just come in and you get your permit. Some of the cities we saw on the list that Jenica put together would limit hours to 4 or 6 hours at a time. And that, we think, would be kind of a regulation nightmare. We don't have the city staff to go out there and put a chalk on somebody's food truck tire to see how long they've been there. So we would advise against that. We would advise against designating distinct areas to vend. The zoning code took care of that a few months ago when you guys passed the zoning code. That's what that was all about. Gasoline generators are a little bit of a thing. They can be noisy, but these food trucks are only in basically commercial and industrial areas, so you might want to talk about gasoline generators, whether they should be banned or not. I think only Boise, according to Jenica's list, bans them. The other cities, I don't think they address them very much. But so per mayor's request, those are kind of staff recommendations, and I'm just looking for input, and then we can start writing the code.
Councilman O'Mara.
First, you've got except city for Piccadilly Park. You can have more at Piccadilly Park. Parks and Rec has events all year long that have multiple food trucks. So what's the criteria there?
So this code would not govern under special use permits. Special event permits are different. So if you have the 4th of July or a party or an event, different than
Okay.
this.
And
Different.
then we had an issue this last weekend about zoning in a residential area.
So that was a special, that was a private property, so it's more of a catering type of an event that happened there.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I decide that I want to hold a backyard party at my house, as long as the food truck is at my property and I'm serving it for my private event, it's more of a catering permit than it is a food truck. The difference is, and what we ran into previously was, let's just say a resident would make a deal with a food truck and say, hey, why don't you come down on our corner and I'll let everybody in the neighborhood know that you're coming. and they're in the city right of way, right? So they're on the street, and they're vending from the street. Then all of a sudden, the neighborhood has 50 cars descend on their neighborhood. And the neighbors are like, what are all these cars doing here, and why are they here? So that's why you can't vend in city right of way and on city streets.
Okay.
So that's the difference in those situations.
We had addressed
We're
that
trying-
when we did the food truck and we defined it. Those kind of events in a residential lot is not even considered vending. That's really just a private event, privately paid event, or a special event. We said this is not mobile food truck vending.
Councilman Wright?
I think that I'm with Mr. Trimble on, I don't favor giving the city special privileges if a parcel owner wants to, say, hold an event, a car show, and they want to arrange for 4, 5, 6 food vendors to come down, they got the space for them. I don't see why they should only be allowed to have 1 per parcel when the city will allow 3.
They wouldn't be limited to one, because that would be a special event. We're talking about just general vending, where they come in on a daily basis to just give lunch to the public at large.
Is
That's
there-
mobile food truck vending.
Is
You're
there-
talking about a special event.
Is there an additional cost for that special event, like the cost of the permit? Okay. What is involved in a sanitary sewer plan? I mean, how complicated is it for a business owner to have to put together?
I don't know, I think that's what we'd have to, if that's what we need to do, we could just figure that one out. You know, I don't think we've gotten down to the details, but basically to figure out how are your employees washing their hands in compliance with state law, using the restroom? What are you doing with your sewer? You're not dumping it someplace, you know, those kind of things.
Okay, so they're not gonna have to do any complicated equations on dumping or any ridiculous thing like that?
No, it's just like, are you a filthy beast or not? You know,
Okay.
let us know.
I just wanna make sure that we're not gonna be overly burdensome with any of this.
Right.
I do
Councilman
know
Mayor.
that the taco truck that used to be behind by Jackson's, they had a tendency to use the restroom at Jackson's. So is that their sanitary sewer plant?
Well, if they have permission from Jackson, I would say that's fine. Make sure you wash your hands.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's exactly the point, is where are the facilities, right? Making sure that things aren't being illegally dumped or public spaces, private property improperly used.
Okay.
Rob, do you have anything?
One question. So, no open barbecue pit type deals, but what about a brick and mortar building that has a barbecue pit that they cook on for their brick and mortar? Because one could technically classify that as a food truck, a mobile truck.
Yeah, and that is, I think that's just kind of open for discussion, maybe not completely counting that out. Is that what you're thinking?
Well, I'm just making sure because I know the 208 Burger Q cooks a lot of their meat. They start in the morning and then they cook it out day, but they cook it outside on mobile barbecues, basically. Smokers, if you will. Ridley's has one right next to their door when you enter. I mean, I don't want to take away from those businesses what they've already been going. And 208 Burger Q, that's how they prepare their meat. So I don't want that to come back on them as something, or someone use that against them saying, well, that's a mobile truck.
Okay,
Because it
and,
is,
sorry, go ahead.
well, because it is mobile.
Council, I felt like I heard some of the same. I think we're kind of in agreement with you, Rob, that we need to revisit that.
Okay.
What I started thinking of when I kind of saw this and I heard the comments about, well, if the city can do it. So one of the, I thought was the best thing I saw was in Austin, where some of the lots are big enough for multiple food trucks, so they bring them in. Piccadilly Park is paved, the places that we allow them are paved. So maybe, instead of completely saying only one per parcel, I think the size of the parcel matters, and I think the condition of the parcel matters. Piccadilly Park has restrooms, it has paving, it has electricity. It can handle more than one, not all lot. I don't think it's a one size fits all on that, that maybe if someone wants to come forward with a plan that says, I've got a 2-acre lot, and I can pave it and bring all the other infrastructure in to support it, maybe that would be looked at a little differently in the over one food truck. I don't know if that's an idea anybody wants to consider.
One of the things I would say to that is, I think food trucks are welcome in Middleton and a good thing for Middleton, but they're not invested in Middleton. They're not paying property taxes. Not that that's critical or the number one thing you want to think about, but you have brick and mortar businesses that are invested, that work with us, serve our citizens, and so when you really make it easy for a lot of food trucks to be here on 120 plus lots, you might be hurting people that are really investing their lives, money, and capital in employment, property taxes, feeding our citizens. I would think about that. But food trucks definitely have a place. We're not trying to say no or stop them. It's just, what is the healthy balance between the two? One's really great for grab and go and temporary, moves out at night. The other one is great for sitting down, dining, enjoying, and staying in this fair city. Instead of going to, Indian Creek or the Meridian Village, we want our restaurants here to have people go. And these food trucks can go home at night to Boise or Meridian or wherever they come from or are registered.
So do you have any more comments? Roberta, do you need more direction?
Well, so let me just reiterate kind of what I'm hearing. So maybe we're okay with cooking outside or we're not okay with cooking outside?
I'm okay with it.
It tastes good, I know.
I don't want to unfairly limit someone's business model. There
Yeah.
might be something that I haven't even thought of yet, and it's a fantastic idea, and I would love it, but I just made a law that doesn't let the guy come here with it, so
Yeah.
I don't see why we need it.
Okay.
I like the attraction of the smell coming through town.
I don't blame you. Okay, so cooking outside would be okay. So possibly making them more comfortable. Street furniture, letting people sit and dine outside.
I just don't really have an opinion one way or the other on that one. I just don't. I can't.
If anything, I would limit it to one table or something, because otherwise you're gonna end up with, now I've got a covered canopy and my picnic tables, and I'm not for furniture.
I keep forgetting Rob's there. Rob, do you have anything you want to say?
No, go ahead on that. The tables, I'm okay leaving off it because then we're going to have to start regulating tables and what goes out. Because I just see safety concerns, tables, chairs. It just was one more thing to have to worry about. I'm okay with the grab and go concept. Walk up, go sit in the park somewhere, go, sit under a shade tree. I don't know. Enjoy Middleton's connectivity while you eat, something like that. So I don't mind the one table idea. I mean, I'm really indifferent, but I'm worried that that's something else down the road that we're going to have to regulate in terms of size and, material, safety, list goes on and on.
All right, but I'm bringing my own table.
You know, I
We can't
had
control
lunch
that.
the other day in the little park over by Trolley under the big shade trees. I just picked it up at the rustic, I loved it and just went and sat down, and the goal is to have people at the Riverwalk District and Piccadilly Park really just enjoy the beautiful parks that we hope to build.
Can I weigh
Okay.
in? Can I weigh in? I know public
It's
is
your
closed.
choice, Gary.
This is the issue about having the public comments prior to. My name is Michael Lyman.
You're gonna have to come up to the microphone, sure.
I'll-
Because we are in transition of public comments at the front or the back, we'll,
My name is Michael Lyman. I live at 1872 West Roper here in Middleton. I am a city resident, and when you tell me that you want to discourage trucks because they're not brick and mortar and they don't have a stake in the city, I kind of take issue with that, because we are considering starting the business. We are city people. We do pay our taxes. The truck would generate income, and income taxes provide jobs for people. One of the issues that just you were discussing about tables, I can understand having that. But if you have an area in Piccadilly that you have the trucks, you have no place for the kids that are at the skate park to sit and eat. They're gonna take their trash over to the skate area or to the water feature or anything like that. They're gonna discard paper in the trash. Versus if you put a table, single table, one truck, with their trash cans outside, it's gonna encourage them, hey, deposit your trash here, versus taking it with them and depositing it on the street or somewhere else. That's all I can say.
and thank you for your comments, because we certainly have experienced local people starting out here with food trucks and building into brick and mortar. So we don't want to discourage that. We have good examples of that happening. So thank you for the reminder.
I was actually searching to see if there was any information on the percentage of food trucks that convert into restaurants, and I couldn't find anything.
I mean, I can think of two that they had to, that was their model, was to start out. And now they are
Yeah.
established here. So for a town our size, I think two's quite a bit. Okay, anything else on your list?
And the third issue that was kind of up in the air from my list here was maybe the condition of the parcel matters more than limiting one truck per parcel. And the issue really comes down to, do you want potential food courts? Because there are people that do have big lots, empty lots, that will just pay these folks, charge them rent, and you'll have a food court there. And I don't know if that's good or bad, so I mean.
And I don't either, and that's why I was thinking the infrastructure would have to be very defined. Because when I say if they're gonna have more than one, then it's a paved lot to city standards. There is electricity, there is water, sewer, and that almost turns it into a brick and mortar, a different type. But the infrastructure is going in, the level of the property is being raised up. So it would have to be, that's my opinion, that's just my opinion, that infrastructure would have to support differently than a single.
Yeah, and we'd have to find some way so there's not overcrowding or a parking issue, because you got 3 or 4 circled up like wagons and people coming in and out.
All of that would have to be, if you're gonna go over one, then all of that would be triggered, is what I'm thinking as an option.
And so we would be okay with going over one, generally, is it?
I'm okay with it.
I'm only okay with it if infrastructure is in place. And I don't know what that looks like.
But we could think it through.
But I think it should be something, because the city's provided that where we have more than one, we've provided good infrastructure to support it. So I wouldn't want to see anything much less than
Yeah.
which is
You have
parking in Piccadilly.
circulation.
We only allowed the 3 so that it wouldn't detract, so that there would be enough parking. We have it in a certain spot so there would be parking. There are electrical outlets, so I don't know where the line is, but I'm thinking there should be something more than someone's lot.
And I don't know why I think most of them need to be self-contained, because if they're using electrical outlets, they're using city electricity at taxpayer cost.
I don't know, did they use our electricity at Piccadilly, have the food trucks?
They can,
They
yes.
can, yeah.
And the taxpayers pay for that.
At the way it stands now, the way it stands now. So this may change that, because we're now saying no. But I believe our farmers markets have used the electricity down at Piccadilly Park. There's outlets in the gazebo place.
In the gazebo, correct.
And I can see that for special events. We want special events, we want farmers markets. But for somebody who's coming in for a private commercial enterprise, that the taxpayers pay their electrical bill for them so that they can make income?
So right now, if someone gets one of these licenses to be at Piccadilly Park, are they allowed to use the electricity even if it's not one of those nights?
Technically, most who come there don't, to be honest with you. They're more freestanding, self-contained type of food trucks. The electricity was really more intended for the smaller farmers market that was only run through the summer.
Okay.
So I don't know that they are pulling or drafting electricity there.
Yeah. And for that reason, and that's why we were recommending they need to be self-contained with their power and their gas, so that the taxpayers aren't funding their power bill so that they could make hot dogs and their income.
Okay.
Not in regards to this specifically, but as a general concept, I would like to see us do too little than too much. If we do too little, we can always tweak and add things later on with lessons learned. If we do too much, we can potentially harm someone's livelihood, their business, so let's ease into it, and then if we find out something more is necessary, or then we can always add, we can always tweak. But if we add too much, it might be too late.
Yes.
Maybe permit time when you're issuing the permit, if they need power, charge more for the permit.
I think, Jennifer, you might be able to confirm, I think when we had the market space permit, was there an additional cost if they needed electricity? No. Okay, thought maybe there was, but yeah,
But
we can
they-
certainly.
But they paid per space.
Yeah.
So they got their vending permit, but then they paid each night that they were gonna be at the market.
Any other comments? You guys ready to go on?
One more, Terry.
Oh, yeah.
Something else to think about, and it kind of sparked when Councilwoman Huggins brought up the multiples and bringing it up to code net. We got to remember that a brick and mortar building has to have a traffic study, intersection improvements, frontage improvements, and they're paying into in terms of the fees. They're contributing to other, throughout the roads and things. These mobile food trucks are not doing any of that. They're just generating traffic. So I think when we start talking about how many do we put where, if a multiple show up in one place, and I know we have them at the city because that's what it was designed for, with it. But I know if you had someone else design it, or if we didn't have anything, how are we going to handle the traffic? The fact that they are not contributing to the infrastructure there. So they got to have a traffic plan if someone wants to do that. So these are all things too that are coming to my mind now as we think through this.
Okay, so I'd say the only one that's not particularly settled is how many per parcel, but we'll get there.
I can bring forth some proposed code, and we're going to have another chance to tweak it and look at it. This is just, I didn't know what to bring forward. So this really gets us down the road.
Okay,
Pretty good.
Anything
Thank
else
you.
for, you good, Rob?
Yeah.
Okay, good point. Okay. So we are now on to action items. So we have our consent agenda. We have the minutes for City Council May 3rd, City Council May 11th, the special meeting. Consider ratifying payroll of May 5th in the amount of $102,862.29. And D, consider approving accounts payable through May 5th in the amount of $369,667.82.
Council, I have gone through them from home in our packet. I've gone through all the check registries. I didn't have any questions on them. I would like to point out of the accounts payable, a third of that is a pass-through between the fire district impact fees and Republic Services.
Council, any questions? So I move that we approve consent agenda items A, B, C, and D.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 So we are now on to number 2. Becky, did you want to
Yeah, I can open this item.
open this one?
Council, each year, the establishments in the city that serve beer and wine or sell beer and wine are required to get a license from the city, and those licenses are due by May 31st. We usually try to have those licenses approved by city council in the month of May so that they can continue serving or selling on June 1st. So items 2 and 3 are a little bit linked together. We would like you to consider approving the beer and wine licenses that we have complete applications for. We have complete applications from the following: Size Kitchen, the Vault 21 Club, Jackson's Food Store Extra Mile number 77, Jackson's Food Stores number 22, The Chap Wine and Tap, and Family Dollar. Those licenses our applications are completed, and they include a review by the fire department, and they check for various different things. So we're asking that you approve those licenses tonight as considered in action item number 2.
Rob, do you have any questions?
No, it's routine business.
Routine business.
Oh. Council, any questions? Okay. I move that we approve city beer and wine licenses for for Size Kitchen, the Vault 21 Club, Jackson's Food Stores Extra Mile number 177, Jackson's Food Stores number 22, The Chap Wine and Tap, and Family Dollar.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Council, item 3 is for you to consider authorizing the city clerk, myself, to approve the beer and wine licenses to the following, which would be 208 Burger Q, Casa Mexico, Garbanzo's Pizza, Ridley's Family Market, once the complete applications are received prior to May 31st. We just don't have another council meeting between now and June 1, and if their applications are complete and everything is in place, then we would like to be able to administratively approve those applications so that they don't have a gap in the time that they are able to serve and or sell alcohol, or I should say beer and wine. The next city council meeting isn't until June 7th. So for any applications not complete and received, they would not be able to sell on premises beer and wine. So this is considering you authorizing me to approve those applications administratively on your behalf. Any questions?
I don't have any problem with that.
Okay. Rob, do you have any comments or questions?
No.
Okay. I move we authorize the city clerk to approve beer and wine licenses to the following businesses once complete applications are received prior to May 31st, 2023.
Second.
I gotta read them all off. 208 Burger Q, Casa Mexico, Garbanzo's Pizza, Ridley's Family Market.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 I think we got them all. Okay, the fourth thing is to consider approval of change order number 6 with Knife River in the amount of $7,831.95 for the installation of an additional davit pole in the Sawtooth Roundabout project, and Jason Van Gilder will go over that.
Good evening, council members. Jason Van Gilder, your Public Works Director. First item I'm here to speak on behalf is a change order with Knife River to change out a regular light pole with a davit pole. Regular light poles go straight up and over to the light. The davit pole goes up, takes an angle to the light. This keeps the pole further away from the power lines and gives us clearance space that we need. So we had done 2 of these on the south side before the project. We took our best guess at where we're going to need these based on where the power company moved the power lines to. We found 2 of them. This last one we found once we got everything put together and we saw where everything was. So that's the proposal before you now. I'll be glad to answer your questions.
Council, are there any questions?
No, that's pretty straightforward.
Rob, do you have any questions?
Nope. Nope, I'm good.
I move that we approve change order number 6 with Knife River in the amount of $7,831.95 for the installation of an additional davit pole on the Sawtooth Roundabout project.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Okay. Number 5 is also Jason. You wanna?
Yeah. Good evening, council. Here to speak on behalf of, or request your approval to proceed with an agreement with JUB Engineers to do a pavement management plan. We had one of these done 10 or so years ago, had done a couple years worth of it, and I don't believe we have updated it very much since. Annually, we do a coating down, a sand seal coating on a couple miles of roads. We have not done a chip seal on roads in a couple of years. We have, I believe, about 60 miles of roads. I don't have that in front of me, but we have a lot of roads in the city. It would be a good idea to have a plan for how we're going to address all of them and keep the ones looking nice that are looking nice, restore the ones that are not looking nice, and preserve those in between as best we can. What treatments they need. So, part of this, JUB will take assessment of our roadways, create a plan, get some cost estimates for what chip seals, seal coating are, and then look at what we need to be spending on roadways moving forward. I'd like to answer any questions.
Jason, I have one, which is, I think I read in there that we really haven't added all our new roads also to.
Yes.
So this will get us just up to date on everything?
Yes.
This is within your existing budget, I assume?
Yes. This can be covered within the existing professional services budget for the street department.
It just seems like a fairly steep price for, but if you believe it's necessary, then I trust your judgment.
Thank you.
Rob, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, just so you know, I'm gonna check with you every time just to make sure you're still there and you're listening, that you can hear us.
I got it.
Okay. I move that we authorize the mayor to execute a consultant service task order with JUB Engineers, Inc. to prepare an update to the city pavement management plan in an amount not to exceed $37,600.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Okay. Number 6, action item. Consider a motion to approve a license agreement with Drainage District Number 2 for the provision of irrigation water to the city's owned parcels. Becky, you're gonna?
Yeah, I'll take a crack at this one. This is a licensing agreement. As you know, council, the Hillside Park is leased land that the city owns and leases to Greater Middleton Park and Rec. Greater Middleton Park and Rec has done a great job at improving that. I think it's 7 acres over there to add additional space for recreation fields. And I believe they're going to be available even maybe this summer for use. Not quite this summer. Okay.
Maybe fall.
Maybe fall. So if you haven't been over there, it'd be a great time to go over and take a look. They've done a great job at getting this particular area ready. This licensing agreement basically allows, it's our property, so that's why the licensing agreement is with us, allows us, if necessary, to use the irrigation water that runs through the little drain to be able to put a pumping structure inside that and use the irrigation water to irrigate the property there. So it's a pretty standard agreement. The ditch company, Drainage District Number 2, always requires a licensing agreement for these types of agreements. It's been reviewed by our legal counsel. They found it to be no complaints or problems moving forward. So I would recommend that you authorize the city to sign this agreement with DD2.
Any questions?
Just a statement that I think it'd probably be best if I recuse myself from this decision.
Okay. Councilman Burr?
Tim always talks about Hillside Park. I know it's somewhere over there. Where is it?
So Hillside Park is located in the Falcon Valley subdivision. Do you know where Falcon Valley subdivision is?
Can you give me a road?
Okay, so I think Falcon Valley is probably, I think it's off of Duff. It's probably
Yes,
west
it's
of
just
Duff.
off of Duff.
Yep.
East of Mill Creek.
East of Mill Creek,
Yeah,
west of
there.
Duff.
You're,
Yeah.
that's your park site right there.
Yep.
Okay, now where do you access it?
You lost Rob again.
You call it the worst times.
Sorry.
Did you find it?
This is almost ready for houses over here.
So do you access it from Foothill or
No,
from the neighborhood?
you access it from the port site.
Okay. We're gonna have to get a protection order, Rob, if you keep calling us. Is he not there?
Is he there?
Rob?
Oh, there we go. All right, trying to use technology, which is earbuds, and anytime they move and I touch them, I hang up. So I'm just going to let them fall out.
Did you find the park, Councilmember Murray?
Yes, sorry, we can,
Okay.
Are you ready to move on?
yes.
Okay.
If you get a chance to go out there and take a look, I mean, we are in desperate needs of fields, and I think this is a great agreement with Middleton Park and Rec. So they've done a great job flattening it and getting it ready and grassing it, and they have future plans to add restrooms and other facilities, so
And we're ready to build that pumping station now.
good.
So I move to approve a license agreement with Drainage District Number 2 for the provision of irrigation water to the city's owned parcel R33868010B, leased to Greaterton Middle Parks for use as Hillside Park. I'm gonna need you around a second.
Second.
Okay, is this considered a contract and needs a roll call, or is it less formal?
It's a roll call.
Okay. Okay, it's been moved and seconded, and I need a roll call.
Council President Kaiser,
Yes.
Councilmember Higgins,
Yes.
Councilmember Murray.
Yes.
Let the record reflect that Councilman O'Mara abstained from this, recused himself. Okay, so the next one, number 7, is to consider approval to purchase budgeting software from ClearGov for fiscal year '24 in the amount of $23,400, and Wendy Miles is going to
Thank you,
talk to us
Councilmembers.
about this one.
Did you get a chance to look at the link that was included in your packets?
I looked at the
Chance.
front page of
You
the
looked at
link. I
the
did not
front
go
page.
into any of the detail.
Okay. Jenica, can you go to the,
That one.
no, the one that was included in their packet that had a link?
I don't know which one was completed.
It was in the actual, it
It
might
was
be
in the email. It was in the email.
It was in an email?
Yeah, I think it was at the bottom of the email that went out to us. Does that sound familiar?
I think
Am
so,
I
yeah.
correct on that?
It wasn't in the agenda, there wasn't included a link in the
I
agenda.
think, actually, I can look at the email.
I don't have it.
She assured me that it would be on here, so I apologize.
Just go ahead and
That
describe
link-
it.
So it was, we were, but it was in the email, not in the packet.
Oh, okay.
So the email had the link.
So that link, what it had a little video in it, and it was just a really quick video that talked about ClearGov and why it was so good. And basically, right now, the city uses an Excel spreadsheet, and we have our budget meetings with our department heads. And what ClearGov does is it eliminates the possibility of dropping a cell, putting in a wrong formula, and having multiple sheets that then you're coming together, and it just opens up for a lot of potential errors, right? And a lot of time. With ClearGov, you can set up your city, and your managers, your department heads can go in on their own, and you assign them a date and time, and they go in and they put in their budget requests, and council has eyes on it. Actually, the public will have eyes on it as well. It's a great transparency tool. It's gonna save so much time. It direct imports from Cassell, so it works hand in hand with our software that we have right now. And the visibility is fantastic, and so it's a great tool that, although it's expensive, I looked at the cost because I was truthfully like, you want what for that? You know, and we got them to go down on the price if we sign by the May 31st, but we won't spend any money until budget year '24. But when I looked at how much time that saves, that's basically a person we would possibly need in the finance department to help during budget time. And it would just, it's less than a person to have this software. So, yes, David.
You said the taxpayers, the public will have access to it, so they'll be able to
Yes.
see the budget and everything that's going on?
Yes.
And this is gonna make your job easier and you'll be more efficient?
Yes, and that's why I would love for you guys to have watched that. I'm excited about it. And that would be great for you guys to be able to see that too,
So
sorry.
Wendy and I sat through the demonstration on it, and it allows for a dashboard. I think is what Wendy's trying to describe as a dashboard. So you have a dashboard for council, you have a dashboard for the department heads, and they go in and they can make their adjustments online, and then everything comes together.
Yeah, good.
But the nice take-place for the residents is the budget is then displayed in a real interactive way. You can actually click on and see chars and bars and charts. And you can see how the revenues changes year over year. And it does allow a lot for a better and a more interactive view for the residents. And probably sometimes reading these types of budgets is really difficult for people they don't understand. So it's like I say, it's a great interactive tool, but it's also a productivity tool internally.
Oh, sorry.
But I guess the other piece that's interesting, because I just saw it pop up, is it allows you to forecast, for example, personnel. So if we wanted to look at, when you look at personnel budgeting right there, you can say, okay, if we want to add a staff member, let's just use the police department. We want to use add a staff member every other year, a police officer every other year in the police department, what does that look like? And it'll do those projections out for you, so you can start to see the impact, and if your budget can sustain those types of things. So it's not just a current, but it's also a little bit of a strategic planning and forecasting tool that helps us to look further than today on what we might want versus waiting until it's upon us. We can start doing a little better planning for staffing. Projects, capital projects are then able to, you can see them year over year. So oftentimes we start projects in one year and then we finish them in another. And so it starts to combine that data for you so that you can see those year over year projects and how they build and are finished over many years. If you take a transportation, let's just take a transportation signal. We might design it. We might design it 1 year, right? And then we might start looking at funding it in the subsequent years. So it helps you start to see those year over year costs and how and when you're actually going to reach that goal.
I have it up if you'd like to watch it real fast. Do you want to?
Quick question before we go to the video. If the public accesses this and they are looking at the money, is it going to say something generic like road work, or will it say $2,000 pothole repair? Will it break it down to not a super fine detail, but if it's too generic, then it doesn't accomplish its purpose in my mind.
So I think this will answer your
Yeah,
question.
let's take a look at the video real quick.
Are critical, time-sensitive processes that can take thousands of hours to manage and require input from dozens of internal stakeholders. Relying on Excel to manage this process is time-consuming and cumbersome. It also leaves you one formula mistake away from a budget disaster. After months of hard work, the final product is usually a long PDF that is difficult to digest and is quickly outdated. At ClearGov, we believe there is a way to budget better. The ClearGov platform starts by providing web-based forms for departments to submit personnel, capital, and operating requests directly into an easy-to-understand dashboard. You can then quickly create multiple budgeting scenarios and forecasts that can be shared with community members. ClearGov transforms your budget communications into dynamic, interactive websites that are instantly updated and can be shared via social media. We call this platform Budget Cycle Management. Designed specifically for local government, it works with any ERP and is comprised of 5 products, each designed to streamline a specific phase of your budget process. Capital budgeting automates the way you collect capital requests, prioritize projects, and create multi-year budget scenarios. Personnel budgeting enables you to easily forecast salaries, benefits, vacancies, and more to provide more accurate staffing costs. Operational budgeting brings everything together and streamlines the review and approval process across every department and every account. Digital Budget Book transforms your traditional budget book into an interactive website, and it saves you thousands of hours while communicating your budget more effectively. Transparency is a unique civic engagement platform that delivers easy-to-understand information and gathers input from residents to help better inform your next budget cycle. Visit cleargov.com to learn more about our powerful platform and how to budget better.
So they'll be able to go in and see. So when you ask about a specific project, it's outlined inside the software just as if we're doing it on our Excel. So it's detailed as how detailed are we going to get? How detailed is Cassell already so it can get that detail? It's not going to sit there and say, well, we're going to go over capital projects with you tonight during the budget workshop. And we have those listed out as detailed items, and that's where we go through and we say what we're going to use, what are we going to be able to do this year, and what are we going to have to push off. It's going to be kind of the same.
The difference is when you see a capital line item in a budget, you don't see the sub-line items below it. And I believe that this will allow the sub-line items below it.
Tim, do you have any questions?
No.
So the question when you say, are we locking in the price are we locking in the price, but you're not gonna really purchase it till 2024?
Right, so, they have given us a couple $1,000s off of the startup fee, and they actually lowered our tier from a tier 2, because they base it on our dollar amount of our budget, to a tier 1. And they said if we sign the contract that we're going to do business with them by May 31st, then we're locked in at that price, and then we don't pay anything until October 1st.
So you're not gonna have it's too far into the budget season now to use this, this is for next year?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. I'd have to pull my hair out to try and implement that.
Councilmember Murray?
I have to assume that this is, one of those salesman's gimmicks to get you in the door, and then the price goes up. So what's the full annual cost? Because I know next year it's
So that was also included in your board packet, on the service order. So it states down at the bottom of the first page of the service order, it has what the costs are. It talks about where it's gonna start, and then it has a 3% increase. So during the initial service period, an annual subscription service fee shall automatically increase by the amount of 3%. And then they have a 6% per annual. And so it's roughly, the 3% is gonna cost another $561, and the 6% is gonna cost another $1,156 as those time periods roll.
And that's the annual
Yes.
service fee. And it will go up 3% and 6% each year?
The 3% is off the initial, so during the initial service period, an annual subscription service fee shall automatically increase by this amount. And then after the initial service period, an annual subscription service fee shall automatically increase by the 6%.
And Wendy, I'm sorry, I'm not finding in my packet where the subscription is.
It's right down there, you're on the page.
Can you just make that bigger?
So, let me get this really, so what is it gonna cost in 2025?
In 2025, it should cost $19,876.90. Or maybe that's 18 and 24, and in 25 it should be 1,000 more.
Rob, do you have any questions?
Yes, so it goes up 3%, and then it's 6% on the 18,000, or 6% on the new 19,000, and then 6% on the next number, and 6%. Do you see what I'm
It's gonna be
saying?
this, I calculated it at the 3%, and then I added that to the 3% to the 18, and then added 6% to that.
So what's it going to cost in 5 years?
I did not do those calculations. But it's gonna be roughly 1,000, 2,000.
Well, it's an annual contract, we can always choose not to renew it.
Yes, you
Yeah, you
always
can.
can stop. And I also asked them the question during this, so I don't know if any of you are familiar with Salesforce. Salesforce, when you no longer pay for Salesforce, they shut you off. They own everything that's on Salesforce, right? This is our data, and I asked them, if we decide that we're not gonna continue to do this, do you shut us off like Salesforce, where we no longer have access to our data? And the answer was no, we will always have access. We just can no longer add to it.
So council, I mean, yeah, little sticker shock. On the, for whatever reason, I was expecting the annual just to be more like just something less. But you're sick of me hearing, if the money is gonna go out one way or another, it's either gonna go out in time in payroll. It's gonna go out in, because I've worked on the budgets when you're trying to figure out what you really did last year. The carrying it over year to year, to me, seems like extremely valuable in not losing track of a project, because that's pretty easy to do in the Excel. And they've tightened up the Excel spreadsheets very well, but it's still going from year to year. And that's a time-consuming process in the budget piece. That I think that money is already going out in time, or at least close to it.
I think the transparency is extremely important as well.
It has a real value. Hearing that we don't lose they don't shut you off, that gives me a little more comfort in going forward. And then if it just gets where it's not as valuable, that sounds like that decision could be made at that time. It's kind of my thoughts on this.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
You have anything to add? Rob, do you have anything?
Nope, nothing else.
Okay. All right, so, I move that we approve to purchase budgeting software from ClearGov for fiscal year '24 in the amount of $23,400. This includes a one-time setup fee of $4,680 and annual cost of $18,720.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Everyone in favor say aye.
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 Okay. Thank you. So now we are on to our budget workshop.
You want to take a break, like 5-minute break? real quick?
Sure. Rob, we're gonna take a 5-minute break.